Welcome, Joardee. I can't believe we're doing this. This is amazing to do this. My first collab. I'm really kind of nervous and excited.
I'm honored.
Cool. I've been reading all your stuff. And I think also incidentally, you've influenced a lot of my playthroughs and my guild's playthroughs too. Like a lot of your videos and guides have guided my guild and countless others, I'm sure. So
glad to hear I've been of service. It's funny when you make the content like I do, where it's like informational, people are so like they're so grateful. And then there's a lot of content that people make that are like, opinions and all that stuff, which I generally try to avoid. I might get more into it soon, but people seem to like me. I don't know. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Compared to how they feel about a lot of streamers. So I appreciate that, though. It means a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely made an impact for me. And that's what I was hoping to have you on to talk about today. So Classic Plus, right? Is it coming?
Who knows, dude? Who knows? All signs point to yes. But who knows? Yeah.
The hype is untamable now. The train has left the station, right?
You don't say. Yeah. I only made a whole fucking website about it. So in my next video I'm posting, I have a little short blip of like the realization that what if all the content we're making is about a game that doesn't exist?
Yeah.
How sad would that be? I don't know. That'd be funny to me. It'd be funny ultimately.
I mean, whether it comes out or not, I think it's been amazing so far. Like, there's such good vibes around the community, and people are just really, excited about what it could be. It's never bad when you've got players that are like dreaming about like something that could be, and then that's somehow making it way back to the developers, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you should check out my Classic Plus project Discord. There's dozens of people in there all day long just talking about the game, and they're all very excited. And we had a little moment the other day where it was like, guys, these are the good days. The imagination is unending, and if when they reveal it, then things change. But right now, it's all good. So it's exciting. So
first one, I guess, could you picture it being kind of exactly what the player base is looking for? You've seen so much of the player answers, and you guys have all these threads going, and like you said, people are coming up with ideas. Of everything that you've seen, do you feel like it is a possibility that it's kind of like what people are asking for? It could pick up right after Classic. Yeah, what do you think?
I don't think that exists. It being what people are asking for, because everyone's asking for something differently, as evidenced by the data, right? So we all have a different version of what the game is in our head, and no matter what they reveal, someone's gonna be mad, someone's gonna be excited. If it is what we all think, I think Blizzard might have failed a little bit. I think it really needs to be. They really should make a big splash here. I hope that they have some surprises up their sleeves, because if it's just what we think it is, it won't be that exciting. It'll be like, okay, cool, we all have Turtle WoW now.
There's a lot of that going on for sure.
Yeah, it behooves them to I think take some swings for the fences, and a lot of what your videos have said is like thinking about what Blizzard is thinking, in terms of what their thought processes are on building this thing. It's one of those things where like the audience that they're going for might be different than what we want as a community right now, because the people that they might be going for aren't the ones consuming the content that we're making right now, right?
Yeah.
So
also true.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, this is just like a slice of the larger pie of all the World of Warcraft players, right? Yeah, I really hope that they do something ambitious. I mean, they always seem to try to like take what people are saying, what the players are saying, and then form something new, like a new experience in the IP in these worlds that they create. So for me, I'm really just kind of excited to see what they do. You mentioned the player base and how the player base is different. One of the things I was hoping to ask you about that is like, what are your thoughts on like who's actually engaged, and is that representative of like the larger player base, which is like millions of players, right?
So when we started building the surveys, we were trying to figure out like how to illuminate that as best we can, right? Because like it's part of the nature of a survey that is essentially donating your time, right? Because we're not making an impact materially, but we are, it's a fan thing. So the people that are going to engage with it are going to be more I'm going to say hardcore, but they're more tuned into this world than your average player, right? The average player is probably a 35-year-old dad who drinks beer and wants to raid with his buds, right? And I think that anybody who's taking the time to fill out a survey might be a little bit more hardcore than that. But as a way to kind of mitigate against that as best we could, we made those demographic questions. And I'm not sure if you've used the drop down on the website, but you can select to view the results only from people who've said they are a certain thing, right? Which was kind of our attempt at identifying what certain players who self-identify as whatever might think about a question. So that was the best we could do. I can't go and make people who aren't engaged with World of Warcraft during its downtime take a survey, but this was the best shot we had. So
no, I thought it was great. The fact that you left in the way to like correlate and see the subsets of the different players and cohorts across all the age bands, 80% or something like that had played classic. But when it came down to vanilla, it's much different depending on the age range that you look at. So that's like interesting to me. This is the thing I mentioned in my last video where I thought that classic is more of the touchstone for everybody and vanilla is not the touchstone anymore, even though, people our age or maybe older, vanilla is maybe something that makes us think of Classic Plus, but that's really different now,
Yeah, our shared experience now is 2019, 2020. And it's not something that I think I thought about much going into the surveys, but in the time since the surveys, I think it's kind of been something I've been thinking about where it's like, and I think your videos helped illuminate some of it too. It's like, what is the audience they're going for? And like, is it to just serve the people they've been serving with classic, or is there a world where they try to widen it? And I think you mentioned, they've got, young people playing classic and enjoying it over retail and stuff like that. And like, if I was Blizzard, are they just going to try to serve the people that they've got, or does it make sense for them to want to widen it? And I don't know necessarily how you would widen it, but I guess it makes sense that they would want to. It kind of worries me because it means that it might be like a watered down experience. Because I know developers think about, gotcha and transmog and stuff like that like newer players might be interested in. And those old sensibilities might not be something that they care about as much, even though I do think it makes for a better game and will create a better audience ultimately. But I see developers leaning towards those things. And so if they do go that route of widening it somehow, makes me nervous,
Yeah, definitely. From a business standpoint, from like a publishing standpoint, there's always a lot of pressure to, engage with certain monetization. It's like, you got to make money at the end of the day, right? It's a business.
Totally. And as a content creator, you want more people to play the game that you're making content about, right? Like
100%.
That is to want the best game possible, because then it brings more people in just financially. But like, I'm still a gamer and I want to play and I want to enjoy the game I'm playing. And so as long as they can, I mean, there's going to be something that the community is shaking their head about, in terms of, transactions and stuff. But like, I just don't want it to detract from the overall experience. And I'm okay with a certain level of it if they can do it right and it's not it doesn't disrespect the source material, then I'm all for it, because they need to make money, and the more money that they make, the more resources the game gets, and the more resources the game gets, hopefully the better it is.
Do you think like a lot of people are answering the survey thinking just with Classic, or do you think it's kind of like
definitely mixed bag? And I think justifiably so, right? Like, I think there are things about TBC and things about Wrath that are better than vanilla. And that if Blizzard is smart, they're going to pick the best features from those two expansions and fold them into vanilla. They just need to be very careful, because, you know, quality of life stuff is a slippery slope, and eventually the game becomes retail. You know what I mean? It started in TBC, you know, flying mounts, like, it was flying mounts in TBC, sure. And I mean, you know, WoW is a theme park MMO, but vanilla really feels sandboxy in terms of its size and scope. Then once Outland comes out, that's the only place you are. It's just like you're running around an island for 2 years, and it just doesn't feel like a world. It feels like a theme park. And so I'm really hoping they're able to do the right thing in terms of keeping the world of Azeroth the main stage and connecting everything. I mean, it's a marvel of engineering that they were able to make Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor with no loading screen. Wild to me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about game development, the nuts and bolts of it, but like,
it's hard.
The fact that you can just walk from one end to another and it takes half an hour or whatever it is so fucking cool. And then walking through the dark portal, I mean, it's an incredible moment, but you're no longer in Azeroth, and all that stuff is just different. And then you go play retail now, and it's like portal loading screen, portal loading screen, portal loading screen, and it's just like
yeah, retail really makes your head spin. It really, like you just keep jumping timelines, jumping like, I don't know, all over the place, jumping content. But Classic really just feels like one game, you know.
I do think that is the big problem right now in retail. It's very unfriendly for new players, and I really hope that they push the button to nuke the whole thing after this trilogy ends. There's a fun theory, you know, that 14.0 is going to be WoW 2 or whatever. And you know, I've been talking, I've had this theory with a friend for a long time that like, at the end of The Last Titan, Azeroth wakes up or whatever, and this is what I want. It's never in a million years going to happen, but this is what I want. Azeroth wakes up, like the Race to World First guilds finish the raid, and it starts a small timer for everybody. You have 2 days or whatever. At the end of it, there's a cinematic where Azeroth wakes up, the world soul, and just destroys the planet in its thing, and then it goes black screen.
Awesome.
And you can't log in. You're just you press WoW, and there's a black screen, and nothing happens. You're like, okay, I guess I can't play the game. And Fortnite kind of did this, and over the course of those 2 weeks, like a pinprick of light starts to grow in the center of the screen. And then there's a countdown at 3 days left, 2 days left, 1 day left. And then the pinprick of light blooms, and then it's WoW 2. And it's just a full reset of everything. And I mean, how fucking hype would that be? But you can't do that, because what do you do with people's microtransactions and all their fucking collections and all this shit that they've had over the years? It's like, there's no way to do that. I mean, I would play retail if they reset it. I would play it in a second. But right now, I don't want to do it. I don't want to drop into that.
The big changes I always notice when I notice going to TBC from Classic is like the changes that they make to the way the combat subsystems and classes function with things like scaling or like percentages. If you find gear with like 2 crit, it's actually really important compared to like 1 crit, you know? But
Yeah.
when it changes to ratings and you've just got these like numbers that are really more abstract.
I hate the rating. I hate it.
Does this come up much in surveys or when people talk about stuff? Like, do people talk about preserving this whole number?
It's interesting. I don't think we asked that question, but that's a good question we should have asked, is how do you feel about rating versus percent? I feel like rating is one of those things that is it's a future proofing thing, right? Because like as you level up, the amount of rating does changes, the algorithm changes, or the math changes, and I get why they did it, but I do think that it makes it much more obtuse in terms of understanding what your gear is giving you, and I think that the opportunity cost of that is not worth, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, in my opinion.
It definitely makes it a lot harder to like understand when you have something like, is this good? Just being able to answer that question as a player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like it also feels bad to like, another way they could have done it is like, okay, as you level up, the percent on your gear goes down. Like your gear gets materially
which is
worse.
That's the best feeling, right?
Which is worse. Yeah, I mean, that sucks. I mean, that is kind of how it feels when you level up in retail these days, is like you're getting worse as you level up, because,
it's a really weird phenomenon.
People, and I really dislike it. So I'm personally very much in favor of keeping the percents, and I do think that there is a lot of fun in the idea of building towards a crit build, or building towards a poison build and all that stuff, and like that's the kind of stuff that I really think that they could lean into long term and give people the ability to like really customize what their characters are able to do. A lot of balancing problems with that. I'm not sure that they have the devs that are interested in focusing on that, right?
Did you play a lot of
I know
SOD?
that
Did you end up playing like quite a bit?
I did. I played SOD. Yeah. I finished Scarlet Enclave.
Cool.
I kind of got carried towards the end because I was fucking off a little bit, but I had a warrior. Yeah. I was not very good. I started with a priest. I played a ton of phase 1 and phase 2.
Because you're notably like a priest player, right?
Yes, I'm a healing priest player. I played a ton of phase 1, and then phase 2 came out, and I kind of quit after a week for like 6 months because some stuff came up in my life that required me to like not play. But I did experience all of it. I loved SOD. There was a lot about SOD that I didn't like, but like there's some stuff in SOD that I really hope that they lean into. There's like that Khonshu quest. I don't know if you're aware of that. It's the one, it used to be just for warriors, but they made it open to everybody, where you fight a Syrian sentinel dude on top of a pillar above Anki Raj, and you have to, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I didn't do this, but
Oh, dude, you got to look at this up later. So it's a super unique thing that they added. I think is exactly the type of shit that they need to be doing for Classic Plus long term, where it's a very difficult.
Sounds kind of like Mage Tower.
It truly was very difficult early on. It's similar to Mage Tower, yes, where the guy is in the center of a small platform, and you're 2,000 feet off the ground, and he telegraphs his attack, and you have to dodge it, and you have to just keep doing stuff in order to, and you eventually you need to kill him. And so it was required to do in order to get, I think it was the Devastate rune, if I recall, or something like that. I can't remember what the rune was. Maybe it wasn't Devastate, but whatever it was. But then they had a secret where if you did it 17 times in a row without failing, you got a permanent buff of sunglasses on your character.
That's so good.
And
who do you got to be where you're the guy who's like, I'm gonna perfect this like as many times as I can?
So it gives you a buff, right?
Okay.
So it's like, you just defeated Khonshu, and then it's like, okay, you have 2 stacks of it, and then you have 3 stacks of it, and then we're fucking nerds. Someone's like, I wonder what this means. Why is it stacking? How many stacks until something happens? And then someone hit 17, and it gave them the sunglasses. And I think there's more to it. I kind of lost track of where it went. I know that there's like quests involved with it and other stuff. It was so incredibly hype doing it on stream because it's so easy to fail, and so everyone's like waiting for you to fail, and so you're at 15 stacks, and then your dog shits on the floor and you get distracted, and then you inevitably get knocked off the platform, and you're just like, nah, and it's like that's the exact kind of fun stuff that like is really, really hype. So whoever designed that is my favorite designer.
They could have been finding their verbs, like these design verbs of like, if we, like you mentioned stacks, right? Players see stacks and then they immediately ask like, okay, how many stacks does this go to? So they could have been just seeding a whole bunch of these like mechanisms to see if it tips players off to like explore past whatever something is. And then they sort of like build this vocabulary of like, here's how we can ensure we seed something as a discovery element, but players know this verb and they might explore further. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I guarantee you that was what this was. So, I mean, SOD was a test bed for. I mean, you said it yourself in a lot of your videos. It was a way for them to, one, prove themselves to their leadership that they could make a Classic Plus, and two, give players something to play while they were thinking about making it, and three, play around with what players like and dislike. You know what I mean? Yeah. If I had to guess, they probably made some decisions that they were like, I don't know if people are going to like this, but let's try it and see what happens. And they learned a lot from it. Candidly, what I do find annoying is that the company has been releasing this game now for 22 years, and they're constantly going, we learned a lot from this. And I'm like, when the fuck are you going to stop learning and just make a good game? I mean, always. You know what I mean? Like,
there's kind of always stuff to learn.
I get it. I get that. But sometimes there's like boneheaded decisions that it's like, we learned a lot from this. It's like, that's fucked up. You fucked up. Say you fucked up. And I think that Blizzard does not say, hey, we made a mistake. Hey, this was a bad choice we made. And players would be like, okay, fair enough. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I guess just related to communication, like, do you feel like Agren's presence in like posts and like on forums and stuff like that during SOD, do you think that was like an improvement over communication styles like some of the teams have taken on other expansions?
I love Agren. He is a great person, but he is one guy, and he's also not a community manager. He was a producer, and I think now he's a game designer. Yep. And they do not have a community manager for Classic these days. There is nobody that communicates with the community. It's shocking to me how shit they are at talking to players. It's a live service game and nobody's talking to us. And so when they don't have a face that we can speak to, they are a nebulous corporate entity, and you can't help but hate a nebulous corporate entity. You know what I mean? So then players are mad all the time because there's nobody to humanize the company. And then the developers retreat even further because all we are spewing vitriol at them. But that's what they've trained us to do in order to get what we want. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, you go look at RuneScape, dude. All those guys are out there all the time talking to players. All the time. And people really like Jagex. And, you know, it's a different game. I get that. But I don't know. It would cost them nothing to fix this. And the amount of goodwill it would...
Specifically to fix the communication aspect, you mean?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, hire two community managers at most, and you would have so much goodwill long term. And the fact that they okay, so like anniversary is, you know, we're all just hanging out until the next thing happens, right?
So is this specifically related to like the situation with like TBC right now and like what's happening?
No, it's the last few years ultimately. Okay. Like I think Agrend picked up the game designer job, which I'm really happy that hopefully he's enjoying.
Yeah.
Who knows what they're designing, but he was the one that spoke to us. You know what I mean? And I'm sure it was really difficult for him to constantly be talking to players because one, it's ultimately not really his job, but he was doing it. And two, he wasn't trained for it. You know what I mean? It's not his job. And so like he would have to be doing producer stuff, and then he was talking to players, and it sounds hard. He cares a lot about the game. And I know I'm friends with a fair number of those guys, because over the years, you know, you go to conventions and you meet them, and then, you know, you talk occasionally, and like, they all really, really care about the game. And ultimately, I think the people that I have frustrations with are leadership. And leadership is not the ones who are going to be talking to us. You know what I mean? They're not the ones that are going to watch this video. And so,
yeah.
I mean, okay, here we go. The community poll site, the amount of value I feel that we gave them is incredible.
It's staggering. Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
It because one, they couldn't do it themselves because the community would have reacted very differently to it.
It unfortunately confirms it. Yeah.
Yes. And I think people engaged with it generally neutrally, right? Because I think we did a really good job at presenting it, also presenting it in a way that got people excited. You know, that was why we made the Doomlord Kazakh animation and the intro animation, to get people hyped, thinking about what could be in the game, and professionalize it in a way that, like, hey, it's worth engaging with this website that we made, because clearly we're fans and we're coming at it from a good place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Blizzard couldn't have done that. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're a secret, you know, psyop for Blizzard," and you know, whatever. And like, I swear to God, I did not talk to them one single time on the lead up to this launch about this website. I did send them like an early preview and said, "Hey, I'm making this," and they were like, "Cool." That was it. All I got back was like, but like, I really hope that they used the data to make some decisions, and that was why we launched it back in January and not closer to BlizzCon, which might have made more sense content wise, because we wanted to give them a gigantic amount of, not gigantic, as much time as we could for them to iterate.
Yeah, not a
whatever,
huge amount of time in the grand scheme of things.
I know in game dev, you know, what is it? 9 months is nothing, but I do think it was enough time to hopefully course correct on something. It was the best I could do. And
I mean, it's still amazing.
but-
Like, I love what you and the team did. I think it's super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to clarify too. I did not make most of this myself. It was just my idea, and I helped lead the team. We had a ton of people who donated a lot of time to it, and none of us made any money. I'm down a lot of money having made this. I still pay tons of like server hosting fees and stuff monthly just to keep it up, and I have not come anywhere close to recouping.
Well, maybe a good time for a shout out then, if people could help you out in some way, so we direct them to your
No, I'm not begging for money. I'm doing okay. I promise.
Okay.
But I do want to turn the website. I mean, we're gonna, whatever happens at BlizzCon, we are gonna post some new content onto the site that
cool. Nice.
hopefully people can engage with, and we will all be able to give our feedback about what we're seeing. So
Awesome.
still trying to figure out what that's going to look like, and it's hard when we don't know what they're going to show us. But
I think the thing that's really beautiful about it is just like, it's so much, it's like levels above what you typically see. Usually it's like you mentioned before, right? It's just usually a lot of comments on videos, angry threads in forums, or just vitriol, whatever. But like being able to present a case and say, like, actually most of the player base thinks this about this topic or this thing that we're doing, you know, that carries so much more weight when it's like measured and thought through. And I don't know, just the presentation aspect, like you said, actually makes it consumable, I guess, for the dev teams to actually,
Sure.
take and take some learnings from that. So it's no
Yeah,
small feat.
there were a lot of
Yeah.
vibe coded versions of this that were coming out around that time, and I was worried that they were going to eat our lunch. We launched, and I think that my visibility in the community helped to bring people in, and then the professionalism of the site, because we have one web developer who I want to shout out named Lucenia, who's just she is a wizard, and she really made the site as beautiful as it is. Whatever, it's a fucking website, but like we did a good job.
Yeah.
And I think people enjoyed it. And like, I don't know, have you gone and looked at the content pages? I don't think people look at those enough.
When you say content pages, you mean the pages where people are like posting ideas and things like that, and voted on?
Yeah.
That stuff's super cool.
It's gorgeous. We had a custom map made. There's just tons of cool stuff on there, and the website works really well. And like we have custom art, which, by the way, we have a BlizzCon T-shirt that is on our on the page that I hope I want to shout out because it's really cool. You've seen the design for it? I want to show you.
I love this. This is so good.
It's legitimately awesome. Yeah. I mean, I don't like shilling my own shit, but this one I'm down to shill for because it's so good.
This is really good. Wow.
It's got a lot of inside jokes about Classic Plus and the build up to it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Tons of stuff. It's Charlie the Orc.
Yeah.
From Always Sunny, and
I love it.
It's $30 on our fourth wall. The Holly No thing. Can't believe they did that.
It's a bit over the top, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, the I can't believe they did that in that video. I was like, come on, guys, like it's just whatever. But yeah, check out the T-shirt if you want to support. It helps a lot. It's going directly to server costs for the website. Still, we're like negative $3,000 still. So whatever.
Awesome.
All right, I'm done shilling.
No, it's perfect. I'm glad. Like, what are your feelings on the, we wish we didn't call it Warcraft comments that have kind of come out? What does that mean to you, or how do you interpret that?
I didn't take it seriously. I think it was just something somebody said. There's no way he thinks that. I don't buy it. Like, I get wanting to appeal to a massive audience, and I think that Warcraft does have a slight twinge of like incel energy maybe, but like it's a brand now. Get over it. And I don't think he ultimately thinks that. I think it's just something you say. Not everything I say is a great take, and I'll take it back 2 seconds later. You know what I mean? So like,
fair enough. Yeah,
we're all allowed to fucking
retcon anything. Yeah.
I think Chris Metzen is a glorious, beautiful human being, and I respect so much everything he's built. It's incredible that he's able. Sure. I mean, he's not, but to keep it all straight. This is one of the great fantasy worlds ever made, and yes, it is a copy of a lot of other stuff smashed together, but it's legitimately wonderful, and so I'm hoping that they're able to lean into it. The thing about I wish I hadn't called it Warcraft. Like, there's something about like not respecting the violent world that we all kind of were drawn into early on when we were teenagers, that I think is frustrating to hear, because one of their recent communications, I think it was back in like April or earlier, but the Holly No one, most of what they were talking about was housing and stuff that's not violent, Horde versus Alliance,
conflict driven,
honor and but chest beating. And I think that is a missed opportunity to touch the part of the player base that wants that stuff. You know what I mean? In that video, they didn't ever go there. It was only the collection people and the housing people and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And their one more thing was a Disney-fied thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that felt a little tone deaf to not at least give that part of your audience something. You know what I mean? It was all the other part of your audience. And when you communicate as little as you do, you need to do a lot. And they didn't do that there.
I think they're also, like, just to hook into that, I think they're communicating quite a lot action-wise in terms of, like, you know, I mentioned in some of my videos about PvP, like, is PvP a pillar, has kind of come up a lot with my comments, and it just seems like, you know, if you look at their actions, it doesn't necessarily feel like something that's like a first-class citizen in the suite of features, suite of experiences.
Correct.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like actions matching statements at the moment. But I can tell, like, a lot of people watching my stuff are really concerned about what PvP might be in something like Classic Plus. I guess I'm curious from the people you talk to or anybody on the surveys, like, is there the same kind of concern, or like, how does that materialize from what you're looking at?
PvP has pretty much always been the redheaded stepchild of the game. I think in TBC back in the day, maybe it had its had the attention because Arena was exciting.
It was really exciting.
It was new. And I think some of the best streamers came from the PvP world, you know, Soda and, I mean, Wreckful. A lot of those people were PvPers first. And they haven't done PvP justice. I'm not a PvPer. I'm not in the camp that PvP is ever going to work in a Classic Plus personally. I think that large scale PvP could work. But I don't think any sort of arena personally is going to work, nor should they focus on it, in my opinion. I really love World PvP when it's done right, and I really love Battleground PvP when it's done right. But I think that the way that vanilla classes work, arena is just not something that they should be balancing for. We'll see what happens. I really hope there's a MOBA style Battleground. That's what I want, like, the Ashar Crater Battleground, where there's like 3 lanes and there's like footmen on one side and grunts on the other, and they're all heading towards each other's bases, and you can fill a lane and take down a thing.
Do a roll.
You know, it's like Smite-esque, right? Would be really cool. Something like that would be rad. A PvPvE, I guess, Battleground, which AV is a little bit, you know,
it's always kind of been there. Yeah, for sure.
Doesn't quite have like the
Single
waves
lane
of mobs that, you know what I mean? Yeah. And even AV, it's less than single lane because you're just dodging terrain and jumping over fences half the time just to get to the end. But like, I really hope that they are able to experiment with that, and I think that would be an incredible launch Battleground. That would be really hype if they were able to pull that off. I'm ultimately, for things like this, I would, as far as what I know on the retail team, people need to kind of own features on the development side, and I'm not sure there's a ton of developers that give a shit about PvP in general, from what I feel. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, even solo queue took a monumental community effort, it felt like, to actually like change people's minds that it's something we want and it's something that could be good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, shout out Ben Ruke, and maybe he wasn't even the loudest voice, right? But it's who I remember.
Yeah, I hope they do. I mean, they experimented a lot with PvP and SOD. You know, there was the Blood Moon, there was the Blackrock Mountain stuff. There was the Ashenvale thing. I don't think any of the events were great, but it was fun to see them try.
Yeah.
And I hope that they're able to figure it
I
out.
kind of had the same read. They weren't exactly like what I was looking for personally, but I sort of have very strong opinions about what I think World PvP should look like. Because at least for vanilla and classic, it's quite emergent. You know, like it's not necessarily
Totally.
funneled. And I felt like a lot of the stuff in SOD was just, here's this thing you want for PvE, and we're gonna like tempt you over here into World PvP.
My favorite PvP experience was 2019, 2020 Blackrock Mountain World Buff Protection PvP.
As a priest, I guess.
And I didn't do any dispelling, but I mean, I can send you a video. I shout out Ken from who is one of the goat of goats, where it's from his perspective. It's his video. He is he's ganking guilds in Blackrock Mountain, as you do.
So good.
And my guild Fusion was one of like the big guilds on the server, and they wanted to take us out. And we were heading towards Molten Core with our world buffs, but our guild was so big, we had a protection raid of 40 people.
Wow.
And then the raid that was going behind
like
them,
a decoy.
right? So
the decoy.
hold on. Oh. So the protection raid would go first. They would clear out the mountain, and then if anybody died, it didn't matter because they weren't raiding and their world buffs didn't matter.
Yeah.
And then the 40 people who were raiding would just come in behind and just zone in. And Ken is hanging out, waiting to gank us, and we landed, all 80 of us, in Thorium Point, but we noticed there was a guild that was going to be heading in right before us.
Like an alliance.
And we were just like, an alliance guild.
Yeah.
And we were like, why don't we just let them go? Like, let's just see what happens. Let's let them go.
Yeah.
We'll wait a second.
Just roach in a little, no big deal. Yeah.
You do what you have to.
Yeah.
So, shout out Deadbeat Dads. Those are also really good guys. The old GM was named Slade. They went in. Ken wiped them. They're like, go, go, go. They pop their sappers.
Wow.
And then he's like, yeah, we got him. And then he's like, Deadbeat Dads? Who the fuck are Deadbeat Dads? They sent in the cannon fodder. And then, they popped all their cooldowns. And cooldowns are long in vanilla. So you really only get to spend your nut one time in 30 minutes or so. And then our protection raid went in and just wiped the fuck out of them. Man. And then our world buff raid went in right after that. And it's one of my favorite videos ever because he's losing his shit and his raid's laughing because he's hilarious. And it just was such a great encapsulation of the joy of world buff PvP before it got toxic. And so good time. Shout out Ken, he's the goat.
That's beautiful. I love these kinds of, whenever I talk to someone about, usually classic at this point, but there's always someone has this like a story like this where it just only happens because of the way that like it's designed and the way players have to, there's this social friction or player friction where you're just brushing up against the other faction.
That stuff I don't think is ever, you can't really create
special.
It's just, it's a magic mix of stuff that if you can ever if it ever happens, you just got lucky. And I think there was a lot of that in SOD, right? Like there was that all dwarf guild that would just go around destroying people.
Awesome.
And I'm sure they have great stories about stuff like that.
Yeah. This is something I hear people mention a lot, but I really don't hear people explain. What do you think is horizontal progression versus vertical progression for Classic Plus? How does that materialize? How does that work? Like, what is that to you? What could that be?
Oh boy.
Take your time. I just need to understand because I can't wrap my head around this.
It's really tough. The game is not built for it. They're going to have to build it in a way that doesn't exist now. People say horizontal progression and mean a lot of different things. And I don't think that my version of it is necessarily horizontal progression. I want to make that clear. I only have like what I think it is and what I can kind of see could be cool.
Okay. You mentioned like horizontal progression maybe being a few different things. Are you talking like, do you kind of segment it as like the itemization side or like content being relevant?
I think there's a lot of different ways to do it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's one version of it. I think, there's RuneScape has a lot of horizontal progression, and as far as I understand it, in like the way that people can traverse the world, you know what I mean? Like there's like ways that you can get around over time if you max certain skills that make it easier for you to traverse the world. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's something that they could lean into for Classic Plus. I wouldn't want too much because I think that traversal of the world is really important in order to feel like you're playing in a world. Like I'm against meeting zones providing summoning ability personally. I don't think that that's a good thing. I line
up with you on that actually. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think the community doesn't generally agree with that. But that's something that I don't want to see in Classic Plus. I think that it removes the fun of a warlock being in your group, right? Like that's one of their
it's special. Yeah.
Trademark spells. And I think that if you have a warlock, you're like, cool, I don't have to run there. Gonna make the warlock do it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something. I think also G-Bay, who was on our podcast a couple weeks ago, talked about this in one of his videos where it's like flying to a zone to go to a dungeon or whatever is part of the joy of the game because it's downtime. And I think that enforced downtime is important in order to in playing the game. You can organize your bags, you can check out your stats, you can look at your gear, and there's all these little things that you do that you're not realizing you're doing when you're flying around that I think make you more in tune with what your character is.
For sure. It's a big pacing element.
And I think
retail loses this entirely.
Totally. And so your character becomes your character and not just an extension of you know what I mean, in that way. I feel like cool. So horizontal progression could remove some of that downtime because you've proven that you have played the game a lot, and as such maybe it removes some of the time. Horizontal progression could be the way that gear works, right? So we've talked about this a lot in the Discord, but it's like, what if there are bosses that are weak to fire damage and you have to go and build a fire damage set that you're not going to really use for anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like resists are a kind of a horizontal progression, which I hope that they keep resist. I think it's really important that resists are in the game.
Maybe you know more about this, but like, has the meta moved away from resists in terms of like where Classic's gotten to now? Because at least when I was playing vanilla, I have screenshots of like our guild in like full frost resist trying to get Saffron down. And now when I look back, I'm like, maybe that's stupid because the meta is now just like, no, you just pump, you just pump harder or whatever.
I think for prog, you need resists, right? Like right now in TBC, people are prepping for Black Temple. And if you're not bringing
like poison and stuff,
shadow resist for Mother Shiraz, you might be griefing your weak one. I think that there is a way to do it without it. But for prog, bring your fucking shadow resist. Stop being a bitch. Like, they played a lot with resists and sod. I think the way that they did it for Molten Core was not good, where there were like break points you needed to hit. I remember week 1 of Molten Core, if you didn't have a certain number of fire resist and you got hit by a fire spell, you died and exploded and killed everybody around you. And it was just a one shot. It was like 1,000,000 damage. And I thought that was not the best way to do it personally. Because those numbers were not communicated ahead of time, which is fine. But what they should have done is like laid in clues in the lore or something about like what players might need, and I'm sure they're going to argue that they did do that or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I don't think it was very clear.
There is some vanilla spirit in that, like a little bit. Like I remember in vanilla when we started raiding, it was almost like a surprise to players that mobs could hit you that hard, like the way that some of the bosses, like the raid bosses, were actually hitting the tanks. I remember personally being quite surprised. I was like, holy shit, like it's totally different in these raids compared to like what the difficulty you thought was in the world.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's good. And like figuring out, oh, I need to be crush capped, or figuring out, oh, the raid needs a certain amount of fire resist to guarantee a 25% resist, which is a massive amount of damage reduction for a raid, right? Mm-hmm. And all that stuff's really good. I like it. I think it also leans into like professions there, right? Like a lot of the professions are about building those resist sets. You know what I mean? On Curage, you have a warlock tanking one of the twin imps, Vecnalash or Vecla, whichever one. I think it's Vecnalash, and he needs shadow resist in order to not just get
clapped.
Fucking and like having one or two warlocks have to build a shadow resist set is fun horizontal progression. You know what I mean? And the whole raid doesn't have to do it, but you're our shadow resist tank, and that's awesome. And so I like that.
Maybe I could tell you about something I've been thinking about with itemization, because we're kind of on itemization right now. This is kind of the only thing I've been able to dream up what could be interesting for horizontal progression. I was thinking it would be cool to see items that are from other instances or quests, or like the obscure things that you find like in the world in vanilla, like Crowd Pummeler is a good example. There are these items that can represent a playstyle change for a class that's like not baked into talents, or like not a spell that you put on a rune or whatever, but it's itemization.
Yeah, I think
those things.
I think you're talking about like slashing and RuneScape has this, right? Where there's different types of weapons that have different types of weapon damage, right? So it's like there's blunt, there's slashing, there's stabbing. I don't know. I don't play RuneScape, but
I was just thinking it would be like pretty trivial, or maybe like easier for them. Like they could do something where you can have items that are lower level, but maybe that you can scale them up to 60 for like a cost or a quest or something like that. Maybe it even ties into like the profession market. So you can have like profession supported consumables that are quite rare or expensive that you can use, or maybe you have a max of like 2 items you can, level up to max that are lower level items. But it would be like build changing. And I think that's maybe what I look for more when I think of horizontal progression.
Sure.
When it comes to classes or itemization, I want to see like different ways to play that aren't necessarily more powerful. They're just like a spell damage hunter or something,
Yeah. There was a spell damage hunter build for a while, and it was like arcane shot.
It's okay. I played it in classic.
Yeah, you did it. Okay, yeah. I love how you experimented with all this hunter.
It was
shit.
okay.
Yeah,
the spell spell damage melee I tried, and it was like not exactly there.
Was that proccing fiery?
It was fiery on double Alcor Sunraiser.
Yeah,
and it was
that shit is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, like some guy rolls up with that build, and you're like, holy shit, what a giga chad! This guy like went all in on the spell damage warrior. Like
it's pretty bad in MC. It was okay in BWL, but it's just like.
Well, I'm sure it was bad. Period.
It was
no
bad.
doubt. But
it's fun.
I love players that experiment with that. Like I have a friend, only who's my like creative partner in the Classic Plus project. They're really obsessed with Smite Priest and making that work.
Yeah.
It does not work, but it is such a fun thing to like pigeonhole yourself into.
So I guess horizontal progression maybe counts as like opening up some of these builds or opportunities, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The issue with stuff like that, I think, is we're all such meta chasers and performance focused, and when one thing becomes the best, everybody goes and does it,
Yeah.
and so it kind of ruins the uniqueness or like the interesting part of it, because then just like the market just gets fucked. Because like I remember in Wrath, there was I posted a video for Old War about using like frost grenades or something, and then the market just
Exploded.
and like I'm not trying to toot my own horn, because like I my audience back then was huge, but like I didn't understand what I was doing, but I posted this video, and then the frost grenade market was like 8,000% more expensive.
So you didn't
And
tell
I
your
was
friends
like,
like speculate
no.
frost grenades before you posted?
I didn't even think about it. I was, you know, and like, you know, yeah,
Awesome.
you know, you can profit off of your people do. I mean, people do it every day. They profit off of their audiences by, you know, I should have gone and invested a bunch and then I sold it back and whatever. But, stuff like that's great. You know, I really like leaning into the professions. I really hope that they make professions more important in the world, but also balanced. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm torn on this. I love engineering. It is such an incredible profession, and I love the quirkiness of all the weird shit it has, and I love sappers, and I love target dummies, and even if engineering is not the meta in Classic Plus, I'm probably going to be going engineering. I just love it. I've been leatherworking engineering since TBC, because leatherworking allows you to use drums, and drums of speed are a 15% move speed increase for 30 seconds for your party every 2 minutes.
Wow.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but your party fucking loves it. Let me tell you, when you pop a drums of speed, if a warrior can get one extra hit because they can move that much faster to the next mob, they love it. And then I've been engineering, because engineering is rocket boots and sappers and target dummies and all the stuff, which granted you don't need to have engineering in order to use a lot of these things, but it's just the best. It's the best. And then in SOD, you know, they made a quest where you could learn Gnomish and Goblin, which I think was a fun experiment, and it was a well-designed quest line to do, but I didn't like that it let you do that, because I like
the choice
personally having to make a choice. It sucks to re-level and do all that stuff. I get that, but locking myself out of something feels good, because it further specializes my character. So there's one more big thing, which is like power creep. And horizontal progression and power creep, I think, are pretty closely tied together, and I'm really worried about power creep in Classic Plus, because like stat squishes suck, and I don't know what they're gonna do. I think there's probably an elegant solution. I don't know what it is, but I hope that they're thinking about it, because it's one of those things that, like, when dungeon gear becomes too far from the current set of raid gear, it just makes leveling and starting a new character really shit, because you go from 0 to 60, and then at 60 you're like doing a set of dungeons just to like do enough damage to not be totally shit, and then you skip 4 raid tiers and you go straight to the good stuff, right? And so it's like, what's the point of all this other stuff?
Where you've got one mage,
you know
just
what I mean?
like leveling people through to like catch them up and selling that, probably, right? Which,
well, yeah, that's a whole nother thing for sure. But like, you know, there's a solution out there. I don't know what it is, but power creep makes me really nervous.
This makes me think about in SOD how like there were a lot of really cool items they introduced. Like every class had their choice of like all these epic items that kind of slotted into bracers or belts or whatever, all these interesting spots, you know, tied to the Zalatath quests and all that. So that was all really fun, but I could just immediately feel how much it devalued all the existing items in those slots for everybody. it almost meant like in some cases entire quests or like dungeons, it was like, okay, we just don't have to go there anymore because they're completely not relevant.
Yes,
that sucks.
Totally. It sucks because it's all this. They spent all this time making this content, and then no one's playing it anymore.
Yeah.
And they did it to themselves. And so it's like, and I think that, you know, some developer made an item. He's like, oh, this is gonna be a cool item. People are gonna use it. But what they don't think is, if I go and do this, a work of a dozen developers and building this dungeon is no longer going to be something people interface with. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I really hope that they make a ton of really shitty items in this game. Like yeah, my favorite thing about vanilla is how shitty some of the items are. It's just the best. I want all the items to be as bad as possible, and I don't want, you know, things to just be something you slap on. You know what I mean? I really like when stuff is hyper focused on one thing, and then you don't use it for anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, super specific.
Or those items like bag of marbles, or those items like
the loofah, maybe, or stuff like that.
The loofah, yeah, stuff like that. Like, I mean, I think trinkets especially are like really, really good areas to be thinking about horizontal progression for, because they can be really weird and
suddenly there's two of them, right? So you can also like just have one standard and then have one that's kind of like this interesting choice.
Yeah, it's almost like having a new ability, right? Yeah. Like you can just pick an ability that you want, and it's kind of like summoner abilities in League of Legends. You know what I mean? Where everybody has access to the same stuff and you can pick your loadout.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really right place for horizontal. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting options, and I'm hoping that they're paying attention, man. I mean, who knows, dude? We don't even know how long they've been working on this thing. Like,
yeah, I think my guess is a couple of years at least. Like,
hopefully.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah,
and being up for it. I really appreciate it, and yeah, hopefully everybody watching, you've had a good time, and this has been insightful. It was cool. I learned a lot, so thank you very much. Do you want to rep anything or shout out anything before we end off?
Yeah, you know, I'm Joardee. I have not been streaming much lately. I got into a big accident, but I'm okay. I will be streaming a lot very soon. You'll see me at BlizzCon. Come say hi. I might have a cane, or I might be in a wheelchair because I broke my pelvis. It's a long story. And yeah, check out the Classic Plus project. We have a really cool BlizzCon t-shirt that I'm going to hope
t-shirt's amazing.
Dave is going to throw up on screen right now. Yep. Throw in the link or something. It's a cool design. I swear I wouldn't rep something that I didn't like. Yeah, check out my stream. My YouTube is going to be popping off soon. I have a video coming out in the next couple days about 5 dungeons that they should add to Classic Plus that aren't the ones that you're thinking about, probably. Cool. They're based off of the Classic Plus project. I'll stop talking, but thanks, guys. Thank you for having me. Dave, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Anytime. I loved it. All right. See you guys later.
Thanks, guys.
All right.